What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today?
Oh, just peachy.
Peachy keen or just
feeling
peachy?
good?
Can't complain. But I will anyway.
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm doing so fantastic.
I mean, who's gonna listen if you complain, right?
At this point, it's not complaining. It's just I'll just say go back and watch the other VODs and listen to the things I've said the previous weeks about my fantasy football team.
What do I have to complain about? Drake May is starting for the Patriots on Sunday.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think he's ready to go? Think he's going to take a little bit? Do you think he's going to be the next starter? What's up?
All right, so I've had terrible luck, and anytime I'm on the show, and I make like a lock of the century take, it just the fucking opposite happens. So here's what I'm gonna say. Drake May is gonna go out there. He's gonna get fucking obliterated by our Swiss cheese O line. He's gonna throw 2 picks. He's gonna fumble. He's gonna do dog shit his first week because it's growing pains, right? He's definitely not gonna go out there and pull a Jaden Daniels and throw 4 touchdowns or rush for 1. Like that's definitely not gonna happen. Bet against it, guys. Bet against it because
he's not going to do any worse.
Don't take the Patriots against Houston this week because
hell no.
No, definitely
never even crossed my mind.
No, hell no.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 5 of
the just jumped right into it.
welcome to week 5 of the THF Extra Point. Ray's got his lock of the century right there for you.
Opposite happens.
He ain't wrong,
though. So tail that bet, and I'm telling you, it's gonna miss. So.
What you got like a little rat behind you, like moving around back there?
Oh, who are you to talk to? You got freaking Romo.
Yeah, it's true.
I just see the little tail wagging up off the ground there.
He's at least cuter than Romo is, man. Romo looks like he's like from the streets or something.
Dude, ouch. He's not even here to defend himself. Chill, bro.
Romo looks like he's had a hard life.
Oh, come here. Oh, there he is. This is Thor.
Okay, that is a way bigger dog than I thought I could see back there. I thought I was seeing this little tiny tail.
Wow.
He's freaking long.
That's a way bigger dog. I guess that's way further behind you than I thought it was.
Well, it's because he's a little low to the ground too, so it's
Yeah, way back there. That all I saw was a little tiny tail, like.
So. Yeah. So while we're still on the New England thing, man, I'm gonna say, dude, I don't think Ray's wrong, but I don't know with the team around him. I don't think he's gonna be a star, but he's not gonna do any worse, dude. Because I mean,
he can't be any worse than Jacoby Brissett.
That's yeah, dude. In the entire season so far, Jacoby Brissett's best game was 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were gonna be better with Brissett. Because
I did too.
On other teams, I really thought they were going to be at least a little bit.
Not even
better.
Over 200 yards all season, dude.
And not for nothing. He's thrown 2 touchdown passes. He's on pace for 7 this season.
Yep.
Joe Burrow threw 5 in the last game.
Yep.
No, but that's just
and I thought that New England's defense was going to be a little bit better, like they were last year, and hold more teams and give the offense a chance. Honestly,
yeah. Well, I mean, they've lost a lot of key players. They traded Matthew Judon, and because he was holding out, like I said, Juwan Bentley went down with he's down with a torn pec. He's out for the season. And then I don't know if the news made it all the way to Dallas, but Jabril Peppers was just arrested over the weekend, so he didn't play on Sunday.
I heard of that.
So I mean, he's a team captain, and he's one of the key players on the defense, and he's just he's not there now. So at this point, a lot of it's very split up here, because obviously Drake May he's a 3rd overall pick, and we're seeing at least somewhat success with the rookie quarterbacks that are starting throughout the league. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is probably the front runner for offensive rookie of the year right now.
Oh yeah, easy.
Caleb Williams and Bo Nix
if he keeps playing like this,
but they're doing well. So there is a little bit of hope there. However, all those other teams, they have a better offense, they have a better O-line. Even though Washington's isn't that great, the rationale is that because much like Jaden Daniels, Drake May is way more mobile. He's way more athletic than Jacoby Brissett.
I'm just gonna say it. The announcer said it 30 times the last time I watched Washington play. He looks just like Lamar Jackson. It's Lamar Jackson. It's Lamar Jackson. Dude, every time he ran the ball, he looks just like Lamar Jackson. Look at him on the field. That's just like Lamar Jackson. Oh, who do you think he looks like? We didn't hear you the first 40 times.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Like, we get it. He is. He looks great, dude. He's
fantastic. So again, I'm not really expecting the Patriots to come out and blow the scene up just with Drake May in there, but the biggest concern is with how bad the O-line is, that he's going to get massacred out there and he's going to end up injured. It's just not common. It doesn't really happen that often. And knowing our luck, it'll be the first time it does. But
so what you're saying, fantasy-wise, is don't run out and pick him up.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. No, there's
any New England quarterback.
No, I wouldn't. There's only
unless you got a free bench spot to take the chance.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the run game has been pretty good, other than Ramondre fumbling. He's every game he's a touchdown threat.
I'm not picking up anyone from the Patriots, bro. I'm sorry, but I'm never gonna pick up any Patriots player. Maybe Stevenson in the future, but right now I haven't benched. I'm not gonna lie.
Unless you draft a Ramondre, there's no reason to pick up anyone in New England.
I was gonna say real fast, dude. I just Googled Jacoby Brissett, and the first thing that came up, the most searched thing after Jacoby Brissett, is Drake May stats.
Yeah.
That's pretty hilarious, dude.
Fingers crossed, and the hope is that
Hopium.
The hopium is that he connects with Hunter Henry, and he connects with Pope and Douglas and these potentials. But as of right now, it's not looking good. We're on number one pick watch, honestly. But at this point, I think the experience.
Bailey Zapp, let's go.
Bailey Zappe's a Chief now.
If I were to say
just making jokes, dude.
If I were a believer, if I believed in Drake May, like if I was a Patriots fan, Drake May believer, and I'm all the way in, I'm picking up Demario Douglas on that waiver wire because he's probably going to be their first target. Yeah, it's either going to be one of those guys. But for most leagues, they're available.
Kendrick Bourne is back. Hunter Henry, he had one really good game. He's still a potential weapon. But I wouldn't, as a lifelong Patriots fan, I wouldn't be touching any Patriots right now. Leave them alone.
Unless you're in a deep league and need a flex spot and you're really desperate, pretty much.
This is really important because he should have been starting from week one. At this point, everyone knows the Patriots aren't going anywhere. That they're still in the rebuild, especially with a rookie quarterback. To me, there's no difference between starting week one and starting week 5 or 6. They should have started him. Every other successful quarterback, they may not have started their first game, but they played their first season. They played their rookie season.
Right.
With the exception of Jordan Love, but Green Bay is a totally different situation where much like Jordan Love sat behind a Hall of Fame quarterback, that Hall of Fame quarterback who's getting obliterated on the Jets right now, sat behind a Hall of Fame quarterback. So that system worked, but there's no reason not to play him. It's so important to get that real world experience that you can't simulate in the preseason. You can't simulate it.
Which we should jump into the Jets news. What's up with the Jets head? Because speaking of them, what's up with the Jets head coach? Y'all agree with him getting fired this early into the season?
I'm surprised.
2-3
last season.
It's never, as far as the Jets coaches history goes, it's only worked one time where they fired someone that early and they went to the playoffs. Out of, I think it was 26 or 27 coaches. So. Yeah, it was definitely way too early, so a lot of people are speculating. They should have done it
in the off season or later in the season, not 5 games in.
Was this his first year, though?
No,
he's been there for 3 years. He has a record of like 20-36, I want to say.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, he hasn't been amazing, but he didn't do bad last year with no Aaron Rodgers.
He did pretty bad. He's not a good coach. He's never been a good coach.
Yeah, so I don't think it's I don't think you can consider 5 games in. I mean, because being too early when this is the year that you finally had all your pieces you were supposed to produce. Like, you had excuses last year, obviously, You had excuses the year before because you just didn't have the QB, so you went out and got the QB. QB got hurt. Now you got all the pieces, and
that's true.
And it's not happening. There's got to be a scapegoat when you're 3 years into a project, and something's got to change. And so I don't think it's too early. I think it's maybe unfair, but definitely not surprising.
Here's what I think will happen. There's rumors that after the game that Saleh was talking about firing the offensive head coach, and because Rodgers has connections with him, I think Rodgers could have had something to do with it, and because he didn't want the offensive coach to be, fired or whatever, I think he stepped in, said something, and then next thing you know, Saleh's gone.
Didn't Saleh also make some comments against Rodgers?
They've never had a good relationship.
Well, think about it. Like, Saleh's won. Now, I'm not trying to defend him or anything because obviously he hasn't had a good record of being a head coach, but that one game where he actually felt like they did something was against the Patriots this year. And he goes and, tries to dap up Aaron Rodgers. Hey, let's go. And
we've established it's a low bar. So
yeah. Obviously, yeah. But for him, like, that's a W for him. And, he goes, tries to celebrate with Aaron Rodgers. You can see Aaron Rodgers like, no, this is too early. And with the way that they connected, never really seemed like they liked each other. They just kind of got along. Maybe Saleh liked him. I don't know if it's the other way around with Rodgers. So there's
Rodgers a lot of like, dude, I don't need your ass, man.
They've never had a good relationship.
I think it's well known too that Rodgers is very much a LeBron James type
diva
in the NFL, where you gotta get along with him, or your job's at risk, because he's not gonna play for people that he doesn't respect, and so I think
Aaron Rodgers is a bit of a diva, dude.
I firmly believe
the press real quick about all types of shit he shouldn't do.
You want to go back in time a little bit, it's probably Aaron Rodgers that why McCarthy is a Dallas coach and not still Green Bay.
100%. Back in the day, dude, when all that stuff happened, so McCarthy took off coaching for it was like a year or 2 years or something like that. It was a year.
Yeah, he took off for a year.
He talked about that at one point, that him and Aaron Rodgers got into it multiple times in that last season because Rodgers wasn't playing up to his standards, and he was threatening Rodgers that he would bench him, and Rodgers kind of pulled the I'm Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm going to go out there and do what I do. So, and then all of a sudden the next season, Mike McCarthy's fired. So that's why he never flat said like it was Aaron Rodgers, but he kind of was like, yeah, me and Aaron Rodgers didn't really get along that season.
This isn't uncommon with the season successful quarterbacks. The most recent example I can think of is year 3 in Tampa with Brady and Arians. It fell apart in the end because Arians routinely made terrible coaching decisions on offense, terrible play calls that Tom Brady disagreed with, rightfully so. That divisional round against the Rams never should have happened. The way that game ended, and Arians was he resigned and was asked to step down and replaced with somebody that Brady agreed with more. The jury's still out on tall bulls, but. At the same time, this isn't the first time this has happened, and
definitely not.
The writing was kind of on the wall.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying the timing of it to me was like, I don't know, man. Maybe even I don't know. I mean, I guess I get your point, Wacko, where it's 5 games in, all right. So I get your point where it's kind of like I guess it's 5 games in, they're not doing great. Maybe it's time, but. To me, it's not like not like they're 1 win, like they have 0 wins. They're doing better than they've been doing in the previous seasons, and it's pretty early in the season. So to just swap out the head coach for another person for a whole new style for your entire team to learn 5 weeks in, like I don't know.
Well,
I feel like if they were willing
to went out and got a new head coach, earlier. They didn't get a new guy. I mean, I mean.
But it's going to be unless they run the exact same style that he did, I don't know. It's going to be different. Anytime you switch up the head coach, it's going to change up a lot of shit with the team.
I don't know that it's as much of a style difference as it'll end up being maybe just a decision making difference when it's called for. You know, I think the play style of going from the head coach to the offensive coordinator, I don't think a whole lot will change, especially when you have a veteran of the caliber of Aaron Rodgers in the driver's seat. So I don't think that it's necessarily going to be a play style change as much as it might be, you know.
Well, I mean, I hope it is. Their play style hasn't been doing it right now. Like the play style they're doing right now hasn't been working for Aaron Rodgers, at least. He's been complaining a lot about the play style and his wide receivers and all that stuff there. So I mean, they're probably going to change up the play style a lot. And it's like if they bring in a new head coach that Aaron Rodgers likes, then they're going to start running stuff that Aaron Rodgers likes, which will change up what the wide receivers are doing, in my opinion. Like that's the only thing I think it'll switch up, and it might work for him. It might be better because obviously it's not working with him and his wide receivers right now at all. So maybe they need to just switch it up. But
yeah, I guess I just mean that it's not like it's going to be a completely different offensive scheme. You know,
I guess that's true.
Yeah, they're still got the same offensive coordinator in place. You know, they've still got the, you know, Aaron Rodgers at the helm. So maybe the decision making and maybe some things will shift a little bit here and there. Obviously, that's what everybody that's left over wants. So that's why they moved on from this guy. But largely, I think a lot of the things will stay the same. You should hopefully get some more production out of Breece Hall. I mean, that guy's the best player on the team on the offense. You got
Conklin. What are you talking about?
I mean, you got a weapon like Breece Hall, and
he's
a veteran elite quarterback. Like you got to be doing
and
something.
The wide receiver room are no slouches. Like,
oh hell no,
right, exactly.
So last year before he got injured, that's why I called him going to the playoffs and probably the Super Bowl. I was like, dude, you got Hall back there with Aaron Rodgers throwing now? Yeah. Like, bro, that's a killer combo.
It was
4 snaps.
Yeah, story with Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. Like, super dynamic running back, like blue chip generational running back, and really hasn't done much yet. But you change the quarterback situation, you change the coaching situation, and he seems to. Bijan Robinson, at least, I mean, he's not a guarantee every week, but he's doing way better this season than he was last season. So
he was a bust last season.
There's a good possibility Breece Hall starts to improve even more with a new coach, a new play calling scheme. So.
Yep, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now with the Jets. Every time they lose, I'm like, look, man, you just got to feed your weapons. You got Breece Hall, you got Garrett Wilson, and you got Mike Williams. That's a good solid 3 people there.
Allen Lazard is no slouch either. I mean,
he's not.
No, not at
all. But he deserves
the instant connection with Rodgers.
He's very good, but he should be very good as a wide receiver 3. I think that if they targeted Garrett Wilson the majority of the times and let Allen Lazard clutch up when he needs to, I think that's their best option because Garrett Wilson does deserve to be the wide receiver 1, and I think Mike Williams deserves to get the 2 spot. But they're not getting the ball as much until last game, which I didn't get to really watch too much of that game, but I did see that Garrett Wilson got a lot more involved. And, yeah, he didn't play the best, but they scored a lot more than I thought they were. I thought it was going to be a complete blowout. And the Vikings defense, in my opinion, is one of the best this year. So, improvements, but they do need to continue focus on Garrett Wilson. Feed the ball to Breece Hall. It's like they're your best players. The ball needs to get in their hands.
Let's not forget Rodgers' best game of the year so far. The number 1 receiver that week was one of the best receivers that week was Conklin. Make all the jokes you want.
Yep.
But the guy's not
the
a
week
dud.
I dropped him.
He's not a dud. You know, like
and the value of the tight end is really. I think it's really focused on this season because you have Mark Andrews who hasn't done jack shit. You had
Travis Kelce who's finally stepping
really
up.
Good week 1 and then hasn't done shit since. Laporte is down in production wise. Kincaid is down production wise.
Laporte is looking like a bust, man.
But Brock Bowers, he's doing really well. But we see, obviously Cincinnati hasn't broken through yet, but I think it was week 2 or 3, that game where you kind of saw that marked improvement over the start of the season. Burrow was connecting with his tight ends really well. Hunter Henry on the Patriots, he's the number 1 receiver on the team. Like, the tight end is really an underappreciated. We focus on the Mark Andrews and the George Kittles and the Travis Kelce's, but there are a lot of guys behind the scenes that they may not pop up on the stats as much or in the fantasy game, but in terms of football, they're making big plays. And a key to a successful offense is having one really good tight end. In best case scenario, you have 2.
Well, and that's a good point too. The like with running backs, some of those guys also that might not be showing up as much on the stat sheet. They're making big football plays, whether it be blocking or whatever, and a lot of tight ends get lost in those schemes where they're held up at the line trying to block and make other plays happen. So yeah, sometimes tight ends and running backs can get lost in the shuffle. They don't show up in fantasy, but they do big things in the real world football.
Like, to credit the tight ends this season too, one tight end that I actually I've never really liked, but to credit him, I think he's like the number 2 tight end right now in the rankings, or number 3 or 4. I don't know. George Kittle. George Kittle's one of the only reoccurring out of the Travis Kelce's, the Mark Andrews, the George Kittles, the top end tight ends from last season. He's the only one that's really stepped up, and I don't know. It's kind of a shining example.
He's the healthiest and least old of the bunch.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of a shining example that the younger tight ends are the people that usually get the targets, because Zach or fucking Andrews and Kelce and all of them, they're all getting older, and they're getting targeted less and less and less and less every single game. And in this NFL now, where it's so much more pass heavy, it feels like there's plenty of rushing, but it's a lot more pass heavy. They're going deep to their wide receivers rather than doing the little chuck downs to the tight ends, and that seems like it's almost every team across the entire NFL. So there's some games, like Isaiah Likely is really high up in the tight end rankings right now because of that one game where he had like a 60-yard touchdown break.
Targeted a lot last week though.
Yeah, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but
and then they're playing a third tight end now. It's like, what the hell? Then a third tight end comes in the game, and you're like, dude, now they got Andrews,
I got Ferguson starting on my team, dude. How many times does Schoonmaker get targeted? Like, dude, freaking Schoonmaker's out here getting catches for 20 yards and stuff, pissing me off. Like,
I think that's why you gotta credit the defense too. There's a lot of guys that work the interior that. The tight end that runs 10 yards down the field and turns around right in the middle of the field, a la Jason Witten back in the day. Right. Those plays aren't working as much
Travis
anymore.
Kelce currently.
Yeah, and so you need if the tight ends that are having big games are the young guys that can run down the field and make a spectacular play.
And yards after the catch matter as well.
Huge. Yak is huge.
Yeah, huge.
So generally tight ends are a little bigger than your run of the mill wide receiver. So when you look at Travis Kelce's and throw it back a little more, you look at Gronkowski, for example. Gronkowski was really good at yards after the catch, and you get that with the size. So tight ends are generally bigger, and they can break through tackles a little better sometimes, and it's valuable. Because if it's a game of inches, and
that's why I call it the oh shit button. It's the quarterback can real quick. Oh shit, though.
Yeah,
that tight end you get 2 yards.
If you're check downing, or if a quarterback's hitting the slot and the tight end gets it and they're going 2 extra yards than the wide out in the slot would, that's valuable. That's more valuable than the fantasy stats show.
Yeah,
a 3rd and 3 is a lot easier of a third down than a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 6 is.
Yep.
Hell, you can run on 3rd and 3 and still probably go for it on 4th with the QB sneak. On 3rd and 6, if you run it and you get 2 yards, well, now you're 4th and 4. What are you gonna do?
I'll tell you what, we're already 25 minutes into this show. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about the games this week. What did we see that was shocking? Was there who are the big winners and losers this week? Who stood out more than anything?
And New York Giants. The New York Giants, baby.
Giants are pretty good.
That was a winner for me. that Giants upset was clinched the survivor pool between me and Ray. The
biggest L I took this week.
Wow, that one was crazy. I was like, he took the Giants, man. I guess it's going another week. And then watching that game, it's like the Giants are trying to win this game.
Like, yeah, they were trying, dude. You can tell.
Started that boy, Tyrone Tracy Jr., man. Start him over Singletary. Get him involved. Yep. I know he's young. It's his rookie year. He fumbled the ball or whatever, messed up. But when he was running the ball, he looked really freaking good. And for fantasy, he did pretty good too.
Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson, I have him in 2 leagues. He's helping me out quite a bit in flex.
Yeah, he looked real good, dude.
Neighbors down.
Daniel Bones
129 yards rushing. It's something that a lot of running backs haven't been doing. Well, a couple running backs keep doing, but not a lot of running backs have been doing.
Danny Dimes hasn't produced well for any Giants wide receivers on a consistent basis like he has this year, man. It's freaking like that's what I was saying on week 1. I was like, for Danny Dimes, this is his time where he has to shine or he's losing his job. And in the NFL, you're never guaranteed another job,
True.
This is his last year to kind of prove something because they're like, hey, we got Neighbors. And honestly, with him
he started off kind of bad, though, dude. He started off like a normal. He had what was it, 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, like combined.
Yeah, he did start slow for sure. But, that aura from the beard kind of started rubbing off. And then all of a sudden,
it since then, though, dude.
But he's starting to build a case because I think anybody that would have picked the Giants to already win 2 games, I don't think so. I would have, looking at their schedule, I would have said, yeah, I could easily see them doing 0-5, and they've
the NFC is kind of a mess so far.
NFC
Listen,
we're talking about games right now. You shut up about our NFC.
Panthers are winning the division.
They look horrible right now.
Yeah, so it's kind of a flip flop right now, which is wild. But for me, on the topic of divisions that are unexpected, the Tampa Bay Atlanta game, I was at Universal Studios while I was watching it on my phone. That was a fucking crazy game.
That was one of the best
South,
games
I am telling you. Minnesota's the talk of the town right now, but the NFC South, they're going to be contending for the wild card all year. They're tough. All of them. I mean, Carolina. I was going
to say 1-4 Carolina might need to leave the room in this conversation because I don't think they're contending for shit.
Since switching to Dalton, they've either won the game or they've hung. They've hung in there. They're not getting smoked like they were.
I want to say too, so the Saints. The Saints right now have one of their leading they're actually almost leading the entire NFC in points scored. Yeah. The only team beating them right now, sadly, is the 4-1 Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
But besides that, too, the Saints have one of the least amount of points scored against them.
Yep.
So they have the best offense and the best defense in the NFC South, and they're 2-3.
Yeah.
All of their teams are putting up, except the Panthers.
Tampa, Atlanta, and New Orleans are all frisky teams. It's hard to kind of, it's really hard to pick.
Before we get too high on the NFC South, don't forget about the NFC North, who is the only division in all of football where every team is over 500.
Yep. Which just want to, because I know we're going to talk about that Atlanta game. Seriously, it was probably one of the best games of football I've watched all season. Not in a while. It wasn't only just the amount of points scored. It was the quality
of the gameplay.
Exactly, the quality. Yeah. Dude, the touchdown passes were insane. The catches were amazing. Going into triple coverage and catching it, like what?
Thursday Night Football is usually like dog shit, but that was a crazy good game.
So far,
I watched that whole game.
Been very bad.
The freaking missed kick by freaking Coon. Oh my god, dude! Beautiful. When he misses the kick, and then they go right back out there on the penalty closer, and he misses the kick again.
That was crazy, bro. I was like, "What?"
I was like, "Dude, if they lose this game right now, and he missed that kick, oh my god!" And then they ended up taking it to overtime. Oh my, dude, that was an insane game. I didn't even care that I called it wrong. That was such a good
game. Join the club because every single
everybody.
Yeah, that was the one that everybody got wrong. Well. Was that the only one? I think that was the only one.
Yeah, I saved us from everyone getting the San Francisco game wrong.
And yeah, that's right. Firestorm picked Mr. Arizona out there over San Francisco. That's a nuts pick.
Yeah, how did you go about? Walk us through that pick.
So the vibes in San Francisco are really bad. They've been bad all season. It started off with Ayuk holding out. Then McCaffrey going down, Debo being the corpse of himself.
The 1 week I don't ride with the fucking Cardinals, they finally proved my point.
Yeah. So obviously, they haven't been performing very well. They had one good game against the Patriots, which again we've established very, very decidedly that is not a good litmus test because I don't think the Patriots could beat Foxborough High right now. So looking at Arizona, who's trending upwards in terms of, they have young talent. Kyler is playing out of his fucking mind because the new Call of Duty season hasn't dropped yet.
They're getting them in.
And with how crazy, the upsets have been all season so far, that was like the most easy upset for me to pick. Everything else was pretty close. The real upset that got me was Indiana Jacksonville, but again, picking Arizona was an easy pick in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just funny to me how over in just such a short time. I mean, everybody was convinced that the Rams beating San Francisco was like this huge upset, and I was like, when I was calling it the Injury Bowl and saying that it was a coin flip because both teams were so beat up and out of it, and now people are finally seeing that San Francisco is a shell of themselves without their whole team together.
Purdy didn't look good. Purdy looked good passing yards, but they just kept slinging it and slinging it and slinging it. He kept missing and missing and missing and missing.
Yeah, Purdy.
I mean, they have flashes of greatness. Like Jordan Mason, he had the one really good game, and then Jawan Jennings had that crazy 3-touchdown game.
This is what you want out of an elite quarterback, though. What separates the good quarterbacks from elite quarterbacks is when you're the only one left, you have to be the one that steps up and makes everybody around you better, and so you keep winning. And Purdy's not making a case for himself right now.
I mean, they're not falling apart. They haven't fallen apart entirely. Like for example, Miami, which I want to get into more in depth. But they're hanging in there. They're just not getting through like a Super Bowl caliber team is supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean 2-3 from a team that's supposed to be the best team in the NFC, that's a disappointment.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it.
100%.
It's like again, they're hanging in there. They're losing close games. It's like Kansas City. Kansas City, they haven't blown out a team yet. And if it wasn't, it comes down to the wire every time. But again, Kansas City is a Super Bowl caliber team. They win these close games, and it may be regional bias to me, but Kansas City is just that dynastic run and the aspects of everything are so similar to the 2000s Patriots, where they go out the Patriots would go out there and they wouldn't look great, but they would win the game. They would win lots of games. They'd be like, how the fuck did they win that game? That's how the Chiefs are doing it.
They put players that are old and don't seem capable anymore, and they can make them good. Whereas with the 49ers, like you have this whole team of studs. Jordan Mason is really freaking good. George Kittle's great. Ayuk's great. No, he hasn't produced as much this season, but they're all great. And the Chiefs, yeah, they still got Xavier Worthy, but besides that, their team and Kelsey is just a bunch of bums. Kareem Hunt, I don't think Kareem Hunt would produce the same as he does on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are just that. So it's like when you see that, it's hard to deny that the Chiefs are one of the best teams in the league. And my tier list was going to hold it off a little bit longer, but they went out and whipped the Saints. And I thought that the Saints were going to play a bit differently towards them. But, I mean, the Chiefs, just no matter what, they make it happen. Whether it's at the end of the game, they just, blow out a team. They just keep winning, and it's hard to, deny them. The
Chiefs aren't necessarily blowing anybody out, per se. Yeah. But they do have the second highest point differential in the AFC. So they're still winning games convincingly.
The thing I feel like for the Chiefs that they have over everybody else is they have the best supporting staff. They have people like Brad Allen, Adrian Hill, Terry Killens, Patrick Holt, Tom Hill, Alan Baines, Mike Chase, all the supporting staff that the other NFL teams don't have, which, by the way, if y'all didn't know, those were the names of a bunch of NFL referees. They have all the supporting staff that other NFL teams just don't have. Yeah. So it's pretty easy for you to win a game when you actually have a real supporting staff at your back, and the other NFL teams just kind of have to figure it out for themselves.
Listen, these are the same conversations that we had about the Patriots for a long time, guys. They might not do everything sexy, but they freaking win.
Is it surprising that all of a sudden Tom Brady's gone, and now all of a sudden there's another person who's getting favored by the referees? Tom Brady was getting favored by the referees, not Patrick Mahomes. For years, Patrick Mahomes wasn't favored by the referees. And all of a sudden, Tom Brady's gone. Somebody's got to get favored. Here comes Patrick Mahomes getting all the favoritism.
It's been pretty. It was harder to realize. It was harder to recognize when Brady was still in the league, but the Chiefs, they've been pretty favored for as long as the run's been going on. Like we talk about controversial calls. And
I said that before, by the way, Dabs.
Every single game that Chiefs have a freaking controversial call. Actually, they have multiple controversial calls every single game. I always see holding.
So does every game, though.
Okay, so this guy's a Chiefs. This guy's a Chiefs fan now.
No, I've always been.
Get the Chiefs jersey.
Chiefs fan. But and that's fine. I'll wear one as whatever. But they've always been my favorite AFC team. But I'm just saying, the Chiefs are now under that scrutiny of everything that they do. You got to rip it apart and dissect it. But that's how the Patriots used to be.
To be fair, though, I feel like that's happening with a lot of NFL games now. There's actually a YouTube channel I recommend y'all watch. I don't remember it off the top of my head, so I couldn't tell you. But you can Google it. If you Google NFL bad calls this week, it'll pull up YouTube videos where people actually will make compilations from every single NFL game from every single week of every bad call by the referees, the incorrect calls. And you can go through and watch them. And, dude, I watch them a lot of weeks. Not every week, but, every couple weeks, every other week, like that, I'll watch them. And not going to lie, the Chiefs are on there every single week. There's teams that are on there a lot, but
how many minutes is that video, usually?
Dude, sometimes it's like an hour. There's a lot of bad calls. There's there's a lot of bad calls.
Are we talking about like a 5 minute play?
There's sometimes there'll be like 5 or 6 bad calls per game.
We devoted basically a whole episode to this at the end of last season, and Wacko made a good point where you can, if you look close enough, you can find a missed call on every play. The difference is when there's a stark contrast. When you have flagrant violations that are called for one team and ignored for another.
Yeah, when a receiver is getting tackled by the defender on a play that could tie them the game and it goes in the Chiefs' favor, all of a sudden the refs, I don't know where they're looking. It's like
we're not talking about we're not talking about like an early quarter offsides that sometimes gets ignored. We're talking about very flagrant, very obvious that don't even need replay.
Yeah.
And they'll get called. And when
the
identical call,
sitting there going, "Well, I just don't understand why they did that," but okay.
Yeah, the announcers are sitting there and they're pointing out on the field. The ref was looking right at that play. I don't understand why there wasn't a call.
Yep. And a lot of the time, the announcers will side with
verbatim
them.
This year.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the time they'll side with them, so when they don't, this kind of some bullshit.
That's why I like when they'll have the what's his face, the head ref, when they have him on there. I'm spaced on his name off the top of my head now. They have him on there a lot, and I love when he comes on there. And even that dude sometimes will be like, "Well, I'm not exactly sure what they saw there. Maybe they just saw something differently, but I'm not sure why they called that or how they couldn't call that. It was very clear that they were hit helmet to helmet and blah blah blah, and they just didn't call it
or something like that.
Gene Steratore.
Each channel, each broadcast network has their guy that used to be an NFL ref. They all have that guy. Yeah. So I love it.
And I don't think that it's like just the Chiefs. It's definitely like, bro, if for your team Firestorm, you could have had like another 20 points from freaking Xavier Worthy because the Saints corner on his side kept like pushing him and shoving him before he even touched the ball, and the refs missed that shit too. But if you pay attention, it feels like and I was like, dude, what the hell, every single time, even when it was Worthy. But anyways, it's like, just watch throughout the season, especially coming into playoffs, no matter what happens, it always feels like the Chiefs are so close at the end, and then something happens where a big play gets a call, and it's for the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs win because of it. It's like that every time. There's been multiple games already this season where that's happened. It makes you think.
Like, we all know the Chiefs are going to go on a run. I just need them to lose a game like soon, because pretty soon we're going to be getting into the undefeated season talk. And I might just fucking throw up because I don't want to listen to it. Oh, they're going for the 3 p.m.
You don't want to hear about Vikings might go undefeated. Oh, the Chiefs might go undefeated. Vikings are going to go undefeated.
I think the Vikings are better, and I think the Ravens are better.
Now that the Ravens are figuring it out, I think the Ravens are much better.
I said last year, after the season started, when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, I was like, not fantasy football wise, because Lamar Jackson has changed it up, and he is now one of the better fantasy football quarterbacks. But last season, when they didn't have their shit figured out, they were doing amazing things watching them. I honestly considered them, and I think I said it multiple times in the Discord, I considered them the best team in the NFL last year. But they had the problem a lot of teams in the NFL had. They didn't have their shit together. They didn't have that final puzzle piece to just connect everything and say, okay, we're great at this, we're great at this, we're great at this. Now use it all together and be amazing. Instead, they were just going, okay, well, we're great at that, so we'll keep doing that. Or no, we're pretty good at that, so we'll keep doing that. They didn't want to be Super Bowl quality. And then, this year they've walked out there and their offensive line looked like trash, but Lamar doesn't even give a crap, dude. Like, they've been stepping it up. They look much better.
They have something that's very, that very much increased their
oh game. Yeah.
And that would be the guy that Jerry Jones passed up on because you can't afford
for $5 million.
Not Derrick Henry, who
$5 million a year is all it would have cost us.
I have been riding Derrick Henry anytime touchdown every fucking week this season. And the rest of my parlay misses, but Derrick Henry leg hits every fucking time. Yep. I'm going to bet that. And I'm going to start betting first touchdown as well because it's happened like 3 of the 5 games. So I'm going to keep betting that until the wheels fall off.
Dude, I'm telling you too, and I'll be the first to admit when I'm actually pretty wrong about something. And I thought when Derrick Henry went to the Ravens, it was going to end up being where he was going to do good, but it was going to be more along the lines of like red zone attempts, touchdowns. He would finish the games 50 to 60 yards a game tops and 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's doing that in one of the runs for a touchdown.
Exactly. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Dude, I did not he's been killing it this year. Him as a major,
as an actual run threat. Exactly.
Yeah. They already have a running quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. I was like, with Lamar Jackson being their number 1 rusher, there was no way I thought Derrick Henry was going to be in there on 1st and 10 running Derrick Henry every single time. Dude, he is killing.
If they had figured it out last season, because we talked about it in depth how he had a very good relationship with Tennessee, and there was a lot of discussion about trading him at the deadline to a contending team because they he's he at the time seemed like he was getting towards the end of his career, but obviously he's doing insane now. If they had traded him if they had figured out a way to get him on Baltimore last year, because it was either Baltimore or Dallas or Philly. Those were like the 3 top teams he was going to go to.
Yeah.
If they had put him on Baltimore last year, Baltimore wouldn't have lost to the Chiefs.
Nope.
I firmly believe that. Firmly believe it.
I still think Baltimore should have lost to the Chiefs as it was, but
and Lamar is playing very good too.
Yeah.
There's still some kind of like iffy where you're like, come on, Lamar, but last game, I was like, holy shit. That play where he stiff-armed the defender 20 yards back from the end zone, I thought he was going to lose 20 yards.
Yep.
And then he did some shit crazier than you can even do in video games. He stiff-arms the freaking defender and then throws it in the end zone for a touchdown 20 yards back instead of just taking the sack. He's that extra, and he gets it. Like, that's such a risky play.
Every single time I watch him, dude. When that dude said so when you watch Lamar Jackson on the field, it reminds me of sitting there with a controller in my hand playing Madden as Lamar Jackson. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, he feels like a Madden player out there playing. Like, he's just showing off. He can scramble out of anything. He can throw it deep. He's got hella accuracy. He knows when to hit the touchdown. Like, it's crazy watching him, dude.
One thing about that game, though, that we're forgetting, Cincinnati almost won. Jamar Chase had almost 200 yards and a couple TDs.
Yep. 49 points, baby.
That I know earlier it was alluded to that Cincinnati is still may not be back, but I think almost beating Baltimore while we're tooting Baltimore's
and they also almost beat the Chiefs.
I think that Cincinnati might be back.
I called it last week.
Cincinnati is good.
Before the game last week, I called
that.
I said, with T. Higgins finally healthy again, I didn't expect T. Higgins getting points, which was nice. But I was like, I said, with T. Higgins back last week, that Jamar Chase is finally going to start getting back into shape because that's what they've been missing. On the field, it was so easy to just say, Jamar Chase, throw everybody that's your best at him, double cover him. Red zone, Chase every single time. You know who he's going to. So just guard Chase. It's like the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb. That's why Tolbert's getting all these yards, because they're just going to guard CeeDee Lamb all the time. And that's what was happening with Chase. Well, with T. Higgins coming back and being healthy again, and now they have a secondary top-end target to throw to, Jamar Chase gets freed up. And now he is showing up like he did the last couple seasons, now that he has a healthy secondary wide receiver. And, man, he showed it again. He fucking killed it.
Yeah, that was a even though they lost, that was a very healthy game for Cincinnati.
Yeah, it was a great game.
They kept it close against Kansas City also.
I did pick Cincinnati to win that game.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why I bought on Higgins, and there's a reason why obviously I'm talking up Baltimore so much right now, because Cincinnati isn't an easy team. They're a good team. They're solid. They just need to get things together. Maybe go against a little bit easier opponents, because we saw Washington actually is a good team. It's not a terrible team to lose to. And then you got Baltimore and the Chiefs. It's like, all right, after this, things will start coming together a little bit more. But they're going against the hardest freaking teams like in the league right now.
Well, and if we've talked about it this till we're blue in the face. Cincinnati starts every year like
really
shit.
Bad, really slow. Yeah.
You know.
So.
And no surprise, but they won the last game, and they barely lost this one against what we've already talked about as one of the best teams in the NFL. So, look for them to go. I would say that they're probably about to go on a run, without even looking at the rest of the schedule.
Yeah, no, it's possible.
If it's not a top 5 team, Cincy should win.
Yeah,
I would say.
Janu, I can't believe you haven't pushed us all out of the way and talked about your beloved Houston.
Sorry, just before we switch off the Bengals, Janu gave me the whole time Janu was talking, I felt like he was talking about me and my fantasy football team. So I just renamed my fantasy football team to the Texas Bengals.
Maybe it'll help.
So we'll see what happens with the Texas Bengals this week.
So
Bengals though, is there? No, never mind. There's not an 0-5 team in the NFL.
Nope.
I was gonna say
it's like
anymore.
I forgot Carolina won.
But dear God, my team just can't put it together. I keep facing people that are putting up tons of points.
So
I'm not a bad team. Thank you, Janu. The Bengals is who you're talking about. Oh,
yeah. So I just want to take 1 minute and because I know we're running up against the clock here. But Miami, I want to talk about Miami for a minute.
What about the Houston? What about the Houston game? I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, sorry. We can talk about that.
Just skipped over what he just said and talk about Miami.
Go
I wasn't even going to say much from it. Obviously, I picked Houston to win this game. I knew it was going to be a close game. It was a homer pick for me. I'm not even going to lie. I knew it was a toss-up, and it was at the very end. All I have to say is 7 ain't in the chat. Where the hell is 7 Slee at? I ain't seen him, so I can talk, so I haven't even brought it up. But besides that, the Bills threw. Why were they throwing the ball when they are in the end zone and can just take a safety? Why don't you just run it a little bit and punt it to where at least you make it hard for them to make it? Instead, they made it super easy for Houston to win. So, and CJ, I mean, he looked freaking good that game, man. Oh my God. I was just watching that game. I was like, man, them connections with Diggs and Diggs and Nico Collins was like, dude, it looked good.
That's a crazy game, man. You got Diggs, going up against his former team. 6 for 82, didn't get in the end zone, but he was easily the leading receiver for the week, which, he hasn't been. So he stepped up for that game, for sure. So, yeah, that I had no intentions or no faith in Houston coming out on top of this game. I figured they'd give him some fight, but I was starting to believe in the Bills, man, as being the team to beat in the AFC this year. I don't know. They just started off so good.
They need to get Keon Coleman involved. They need a star wide receiver, and I think they can get that in Keon Coleman if they keep targeting him and letting him improve on the offense and get some more work. Without that, I'm not really confident because they came off first couple weeks looking good, but it wasn't against the best teams. They start going against some good teams, and then they lose it. So I don't think the Bills are bad, but
the Bills is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you see the Cooks production go down, you see Allen's production go down, pretty much everyone else, and Keon's goes up a little bit in the last game. For fantasy, it's kind of worrying a little bit on your matchups by week. But I mean, if you got if they're going against a shitter team, I think you start them all day long and they're going to pop off. But Bills in the future, kind of someone to look out for. I don't think they're bad. And I think Houston's kind of progressively gotten in the groove a little bit more as the season's gone on. But, I don't really think the Bills are going to be all that. I don't know.
Me neither. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think it's going to be another early exit in the playoffs.
Well, speaking of not going anywhere, you want to talk about Miami?
Yes. So, obviously they're going to be...
Yes, please.
What a segue into that.
Obviously, they're going to beat the Patriots. I bet against it, but what do I know? I want to talk about Tua for a minute. So,
is he still alive?
Whatever remains of him.
Apparently, he's doing good right now.
There's been despite if you ignore the concussions, there's been a lot of discussion about how Tua is a system quarterback. He benefits from the weapons around him. He has Achane and Mostert, and then he's throwing to Waddle and Hill. And any quarterback in that situation would be doing great. Proof that is not true.
I'm glad you brought that up because I got something to say against that too when you're done.
their offense is at a standstill without Tua. The offense, yeah, it's probably tailored to him, but he still has that ability to move around it and really increase the production out of it. Obviously, they're working with, absolute dog-ass backups, and given his injury history, they probably should have planned ahead and gotten a backup in the offseason, but they didn't. So if Tua comes back, I think and he can manage to survive and not die, I think the offense goes back to what it was. But without Tua, they're a shell of themselves.
See, I agree with that, but what I don't really hear a lot of people talking about Tua being a system quarterback or benefiting from that system or his weapons. I thought he's always been one of those unique kind of threat quarterbacks. He's just been a guy that could never put it all together consistently.
Well, prior to Mike McDaniel, he was at risk for not even being in the league anymore. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like he's a guy that never really put it all together.
They upgraded the weapons around him.
Flashes.
They upgraded the weapons around him and put a better coaching scheme in place. But there was still talk that, any quarterback in that situation is going to do great throwing to Tyreek Hill. And it clearly is not the case.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
So for me, my thing about it is obviously I think Tua is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. But it's way too early and it's just way too early to say that because the quarterbacks that have been playing for them are not good, and they haven't, especially who we have right now, he hasn't even started in the NFL for a team until right now as a starting quarterback. The only other time when he did, it was when he was a backup for Lamar Jackson, and that was it. And we don't know like his skill level or anything like that. We don't know how good these guys are. I'm assuming that they're bad because of the offense that they're in. I think that you put someone that's decent in there and they'll produce. I think you put Tua in there and he's going to produce better, but mainly because that Miami offensive scheme, he's already adjusted to it. Tua already knows the scheme. He's already used to how they run their routes. Like Tyreek's the type of guy where he just has that connection with Tua, so they kind of already know, like, okay, he's not open. He's probably going to run a route on this side and do his own thing. Like Tyreek likes to just run his own routes and shit. With a new quarterback, they're not going to have that connection like at all. So I think it's kind of hard to tell. I don't think Tua is bad. I think he's good. But a part of me still thinks like you put someone else in there with all those weapons, they might be able to do better. Like a chain, Mostert, Tyreek, and Waddle, it sounds on paper like it should be unstoppable. You know what I mean? And even with Tua there, they still were losing that game against the Bills. And we saw how the Bills just lost to Houston. We saw how the Bills are playing now. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, the numbers don't lie. They went from the highest scoring offense in the league to the second worst, only behind my Patriots. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I really think Tua doesn't get. I think obviously he's not getting anything right now other than a blender of a brain. But I still don't think he gets the credit he deserves. Do I think he's a $100+ million quarterback? Not really, but I think there's a stark difference in the offense without Tua than with him.
Oh,
the argument we made that the backups aren't good, which that is the argument I'm making. But
yeah,
until they go outside, they should bring Tannehill back. I don't know why Tannehill is warming the bench and wherever.
Yeah, I mean, if you put Tannehill in there and the offense looks exactly like it does now, then I would say that argument's a lot stronger for sure. But still, it's like you still have to get adjusted to that team. I mean, all the players in that team are so freaking fast, and the way that they just play on offense is different. And take a little bit of adjusting too. But I would like to see that. And honestly, I thought Huntley was going to be better because when I watched him play behind Lamar, he looked pretty decent. And then with this team, it just looks so bad.
Well, that's my point. Is everyone thought, oh, he's gonna do okay because he's throwing to Tyreek, he's throwing to Waddle, and he's just not.
Yeah, it's just hard to tell because we haven't actually seen him actually play before much. So it's kind of hard to tell if this guy is just bad or if Tua is just that good.
Yeah, I mean he barely beat the Patriots, and again we've established
they're the worst.
That they're the easiest team to beat, and they beat them by one possession. So they should have blown him out. With Tyreek should have ran for 200 yards. But
yeah, it's really sad to see for Tyreek, the loss of production for a round 1 wide receiver. That's sad.
The only game that stands out to me that we hadn't talked about yet is obvious. The obvious one is the Cowboy game. Save the best for last, right? How'd you guys feel about the way that game went down? Being that Pittsburgh has been kind of one of those standout teams this season so far.
I don't think Pittsburgh stand out. I think they're exactly what Pittsburgh always is.
Oh, yeah, I mean, going into they were at least 3-1, but I do agree. Yeah. I don't think they're anything special. But I think
that was an easy game.
Watching that game, the Cowboys looked better, not great. They didn't look anything special. Like when you look at the stats, man. Okay, Dak Prescott 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 29 of 42. Not that great, but he threw for 352 yards. Really good. Rico Dowdle, 20 carries. Finally, we had a running back that actually dominated carries.
He had a running game. Yeah.
Exactly. For 87 yards, though. 87 yards. That's a running game? 87 yards on 20 carries? Like, don't get me wrong. It's not horrible, but again, getting over 100 rushing yards. That's what you should be shooting for every single week. So it's one of those,
fair, we did have a duo over 100, so, it's not like...
yeah.
We had
by like 4 yards.
Well over 100 yards for the team.
No, for the team, Ezekiel had 17 rushing yards. If you go Lukey had 6, Prescott had 3, Lamb had 2, Turpin had -6. See, I mean, we had 110 or so yards for the team, which again isn't bad. But if you throw in like almost 20 incomplete passes by Dak Prescott and 2 interceptions, the 352 yards and 2 touchdowns don't look as good. If you throw in that, we ran it for almost 30 plus times and only got around 100 rushing yards, doesn't look as good. I'm saying we looked better. We didn't look like the Cowboys. Even our defense looked better. They didn't look horrible. We weren't out there just going looking confused and running around like we didn't know what was happening. We looked better. We were snapping to the ball. We were getting tackles. We were doing shit. It gave me hope watching it. We didn't look amazing. 3 interceptions. No, it was only 2 interceptions for Dak.
It was 3 turnovers because he had a fumble.
He fumbled it also, but it was only 2 interceptions.
It was honestly, if you're, there was definitely good and bad in the Dak conversation on that one because the 3 turnovers hurt bad.
The fourth quarter comeback, that's why a lot of people are saying, we didn't even need to have that fourth quarter comeback, and we didn't. But you know what? That's fucking football. It happens in every game. There's turnovers, there's fumbles in every game. Yeah. You had to fight back, dude. And so, the fourth quarter comeback was nice. It sucks that we were in that position, but we were there, and he clutched it.
I don't want to discount the gameplay because, again, the Cowboys won the game. This type of game was one that they were supposed to win, but it doesn't mean they couldn't win. Exactly. It's a game that it would have been bad if they lost.
That's why I said we didn't look great. I don't even think we looked very good. We looked better than we have over the last couple of weeks.
And with how competitive the division is right now, that's a win you need.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're literally 1 throw away from losing that game.
Yeah, a primetime win.
4th down conversion for the touchdown, dude.
Important win because you don't know. Washington might steal a game from you guys.
Yep.
Philly, they are going
this
to.
Year, I feel like they're going to, yeah.
They are going to. They might actually win both of them.
I'd say it every year, too, in the NFC East. One thing about it, dude, whether it's the Giants and the Redskins, because they've been sucking the last couple seasons, it doesn't really matter. Although last season we did blow out the Giants pretty hard. Every year in the NFC East, it's a guaranteed fight between the teams. It's never, the Washington Commanders are 2 wins and 10 losses this season, and the Cowboys are 9-4. So Cowboys are easily going to win. Nah, it's never like that, dude. It's always a hard-fought game. There's a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties, a lot of anger and shoving and late hits, and there's a lot of shit in those games.
The thing is it's like
why those non-divisional games are important.
I mean, we got the highest paid quarterback going against Justin Fields, and we're one play away from losing that game. If they didn't make that to Tolbert in the end zone, it would be an entirely different discussion. And so obviously
going to Tolbert with the last play, not once but twice. Go to effing CeeDee Lamb, bro.
Tolbert's really
wrong
good
with Dak and CD. I don't know what it is, but they are not.
It hasn't been right since the Green Bay game.
Mm-hmm. And not to, because I even said it didn't look like that much. It's the NFL. Right. Shit happens all the time. But I feel like Dak might have actually got a little bit more butthurt than he let on when CeeDee Lamb yelled at him on the sideline. Because I feel like that was when he stopped really kind of clicking with CeeDee.
Well, Lamb did it again. Did you see in this game?
Oh, yeah. And kind of, I mean, it was kind of deserved.
Yell at him, but
he made a lot of bad passes.
Yeah,
like he made a lot of bad passes. He made a lot of good ones.
Something that's a little more common this season that I've noticed is it's a difference in the defensive scheme, where before teams were putting they matched up their number one corner against the number one receiver. Now, I've seen it a lot this season where they'll double the number one receiver, and then they'll put the number one corner on the number two receiver. So in this case, Tolbert. They'll double CD and then they'll put one on Tolbert. Or they'll put the safety over the top. It basically takes them both out of the game.
Yep.
It makes it more difficult.
Madden playing online used to allow defensive assignments. That's what I would always do. I would stick my fastest cornerback on the number one wide receiver, and then my best cornerback on their number two.
Right. So Wacko said it, that CD and Dak are not connecting like they used to, and you know it hasn't been bright all season. But going back to the Green Bay playoff game, it was not right then. It was a mess, and it hasn't seemed to recover.
Dude, there was
tough because there's $400 million between them. They're supposed to be locked on.
CD, and I think that's in their 100-yard game.
Yeah,
I think that's in both of their heads too about it, because they know people are talking, even if they don't say anything about it. They know people are talking and paying attention. You know.
But I do want to go back to the whole expectations on this game, because Pittsburgh came into this game being 3-1. Definitely they've definitely surpassed most people's expectations. But the Cowboys were only at a 2.5-point favorite going into this game at home. So let's not pretend like Pittsburgh's not a good team.
They're not a bad team, but
they're a
not,
mediocre team.
Yeah, they're what they are. They're a winning team every season.
They have a good defense, and their offense sometimes
they get bounced in the first or second round. Like they're not.
But we're not talking about their history. We're talking about right now. They came into this game 3-1 as one of the best teams in the AFC.
Yeah, but that's how they always are. They're not.
Okay,
they're not.
We're not worried about what they always are. We're worried about what this season is.
But
that's what I'm saying.
The trend is similar.
The thing is that the Steelers, before coming into this game, beat the Broncos barely. They beat the Chargers. They lost to the Colts, and they beat the Falcons at the beginning of the seasons when the Falcons were doing dog shit, and they looked like they were going to have a terrible season. The Falcons are good now, but at the beginning, those are all bad teams. Those are all teams that have bad records, except for the Broncos. But we all know the Broncos aren't.
I mean, every season early on, but this season especially, most teams are not reflective of their records. Like the 1-4 Bengals are not reflective. They're better than they're better than their record shows.
Real life, not fantasy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about me again.
Your team still sucks.
Yeah. But these teams are
still
not
go undefeated from here on out.
These teams are not reflective of their records. But in this case, Pittsburgh is reflective of their record. They're a winning team, but they're not much more than that. They're not great. They're not terrible. They're a good team, but they're not a threat. Like they're not Baltimore. They're not Cincinnati on the up and up. You know,
I thought we were talking about Pittsburgh here, not the Cowboys.
I didn't say they beat one of the best teams. You know, I just said that. You know, they beat a team that was, you know, turning heads.
That's kind of like
this week. They were only a 2.5 point favorite at home, so it's not like
I feel like this week right here it's going to be the same situation where the Lions have the favorite over the Cowboys right now to win. And honestly, I'm picking the Cowboys over the Lions because I think we're going to take them. But like, I don't know. I feel like it's the same way. I feel like it's just the Lions are almost going to be expected to win because they have one loss right now, and the Cowboys aren't looking that great. And
the Lions are coming off by, and the Cowboys are a little banged up on defense, and the Lions love scoring. They love scoring
just
points.
A little bit.
I think the Lions are going to destroy the Cowboys.
I'm taking the Lions pretty heavily on this one.
Hey, hopefully I'm not one person that picks the Cowboys. I ain't even drinking the juice.
I'm sorry, but the Dallas run defense is ass, and they have freaking Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, and they're going to destroy us. I'm sorry, but they're going to destroy us.
Look,
you know what? I
mean, just saying, the Cowboys run defense is actually like our only good point. Like we held them to like under 70 yards rushing the Steelers in that game. Like it was
our rushing Harris though.
Yeah, the corpse.
Well, yeah, but all of them. I mean, Justin Fields 6 rushes, 27 yards, 14 carries, 42 yards. You know, like
Justin
Najee Harris usually puts up. Well, I was going to say, Najee Harris usually puts up at least like 70, 80 yards because he gets the all-around purpose yards. And so he did put up 70 yards with his receiving. But like rushing-wise, we held them down pretty damn bad, and we kind of do good against the rushing every week.
Are they playing at home?
With Derrick Henry beat the shit out of us. Which, no, I don't think we're playing at home. I think I heard that we had the next couple of games that we're going to be road. But like Derrick Henry beat the shit out of us in the rushing game, but that's one Baltimore.
No, this is
Derrick Henry had a grudge.
Yeah, wow. Can we transition to this week's pick'em so we can see who's?
Yeah, real quick before we go on to next week, we do want to just talk a little bit about what week 5 in the THF.
We talked about that already, dude. It was the start of when we started.
We kind of talked about it a little bit, but
you already had all this up. We went over all this before.
We didn't bring this up and make sure that everybody knew like the biggest beatdown of the week, or
So I apologize in private, which means I get to gloat publicly. So
if it wasn't for you,
I openly welcome it on the podcast. The shit talking as well. That's why I miss Dabs sometimes on here because Dabs will shit talk me on the podcast.
Yeah, that 0-5 looks.
Dude, that fucking hurt, dude.
It's a squeaky clean number, buddy.
I said this a little bit ago. I think this is the first time in the THF. I didn't say this on stream. I think this is the first time in the THF Fantasy Football's league, like career, that any team has gotten 200 points scored against them in back-to-back weeks. And to me, that's nuts. He's had over 200 points scored against me last week, and then freaking Ray here, like damn near. I feel like you should have put up 300 points, dude.
110 points.
You could have put up 3 of your players and outscored me.
Yeah,
3.
Wasn't for you, Ray, I would have been top scorer, but you just had to go against Brian this week.
I just had to have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, he just had to go against Brian. Which, by the way, man, who am I going against this week? So I know who to pick for my bet.
Yeah, I will give credit where credit's due. He's right though to a certain extent. I mean, he has not been the worst scoring team of the year yet. He's not been renamed once.
But I had the most points scored against me.
And he's still 0-5. So, I mean, there's a little bit of luck involved in fantasy football.
Okay, so I'm just going to put this out here. The number 2 points against right now is Lobster at 808. Me, right now, I have 1,008 points scored against me. I have 200 points above and points scored against
week
me.
5.
Oh, that's tragic, bro.
More scored against me. Anybody else?
Crazy.
That is you're averaging 200 points a week against you.
1,000 points against me in week 5. That's 200 points a week.
Watch, you're going against me in a few weeks.
She's like, who's going against me? I'm serious, dude. I'm going to see who I'm playing against this week, and I'm taking somebody over.
Guys, we should just start publishing Navy's like opponents list, so you guys know at home who to bet on for underdog and
Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's about to have himself a week.
Wait, who's he going against this week?
Green Bay. Arizona versus Green Bay. So we got Kyler Murray, DJ Moore, Metcalf, Chuba Hubbard, Williams, Ertz, Godwin, Deebo Samuel. Oh God, Deebo's gonna go off. Buffalo's defense is apparently going to kill Aaron Rodgers because I'm playing against Buffalo defense.
Yep, they're going to do that.
Oh yeah, that's going to happen.
So I'm probably going to take Hubbard over on rushing guards, but I'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I got old Chubba Hubbard in a different league, and he did all right. He's been doing all right. All right. Well, I digress. We'll
but the rest of y'all can talk about how good y'all did.
Well, I'm in first, so I don't want to get too high on my horse.
I am happy because I went 3-0 in all my leagues this week by a lot, so I'm happy this week. I'm ready to go. I won every game by at least 50 points, so feeling good.
Oh my god, am I really playing against? I sure am playing against Lobster.
I have 1-3.
Lobster's gonna be 420 after this week.
I haven't even sniffed a 3-3 week in fantasy. 3 leagues. I'm lucky to win 1 every week. It seems like.
Oh man.
All right. Next week,
3
we got week 6. Don't forget, if you're a subscriber on my channel, you can play the weekly NFL Pick'ems right alongside of us, absolutely free. Just DM me your picks by Thursday at noon o'clock. Send them my way. We had some. Janu and I had to give y'all a little bit of a breathing room last week. We were terrible, but so you guys caught up a little bit on the season stats. By the way, I didn't point that out on the other one, but y'all are creeping up on us real quick. What games are looking hard to pick this week?
I can tell you
hard
easy,
to pick. Washington and Baltimore is going to be hard to pick.
Dabs brought that one up earlier. I skipped his comment because he was jumping ahead of us, but that is going to be an interesting game to pick for sure. Like, do the up and coming Washington, do they have it in them to even compete with Baltimore?
And I honestly think too that just on a side note, we can keep talking about that, but another game is going to be hard to pick. I think it's going to be the Jacksonville and Chicago game because Jacksonville is on a up note right now. They're scoring a lot. Their offense is playing better, but then you have that Chicago defense where it's hard to pick against them because their defense is just so good where, they might just get shut down. So it's kind of hard to pick on that one. But yeah, on the Washington-Baltimore game, I think I'm going to be taking Washington like Dabs is.
I'm leaving Daniels in place. I think he's going to have an okay game.
I don't want all you to take my pick. I want you guys to all take Baltimore. So
I'm taking Baltimore without a doubt. I think
I'm taking Baltimore too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy because I actually feel, and this is weird, we haven't talked about this at all, but I actually feel the exact opposite of both of y'all. I feel like Washington is going to lose, and I feel like Jaden Daniels is going to have his first off week in a while. I think the Baltimore defense is going to be too much for him to handle.
I don't this is the week that they come back down to earth because they've been outperformed.
I think he'll go right back up. I think they'll go right back up next week. But I wouldn't start Daniels personally. The Ravens have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and going up against.
If we're talking about fantasy, you're still starting him.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he'll put up numbers. I don't know if I'd personally start him though. But
I have Baker.
Yeah, like Baker, I might start over.
Like versus Baker, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, I'm starting Daniels every week, and I'm not benching him. He's my sole quarterback. I'm not benching him.
One of the best teams in the NFL, and he's going to be playing against a quarterback that he gets compared to so much. He's going to be seeing a better play style of his out there on the field, and I don't know. I think it's going to be.
I'm gonna put Baker in, and I might change him later in the week, but
I'm not. In most cases, I'm not benching Daniels. But I am calling this to be Washington's worst game of the season. I don't think they are going to turn heads in this game. I think this is going to be the first bit of adversity that he finds. He's going to get smacked in the face and welcome to the NFL.
Well, look how good obviously this is just football math, so it can go either way. But Cincy, look how good they did against Baltimore. Washington, look how they did against Cincy. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know. I think that Washington could maybe bring a little bit of an upset to that game.
Yeah,
I don't blame anyone for picking the Ravens at all. I don't blame you.
I think it'll be a great game to watch. If Washington can actually step, and to me, and I know this is like any NFL team, but I feel like the only real key to beating the Ravens is to have a good passing game. So if Jayden Daniels can actually go out there and pass the ball, then I think they'll win. Like, perfect example, the last week against them, dude. Yeah, like that was a lot of points got scored, but that's because they were able to pass the ball against Baltimore. And so, like, if you just look at a team that can only run, well, Baltimore is going to do it better than you. So if you try to walk out there and do exactly what Baltimore is doing, but better, it's just not going to fucking work, like, at all. But if you go out there and you can pass the ball, they go out there and they spend an 8-minute drive going down the field, running it nonstop, and then they score a touchdown. And you go out there in 1 minute and score a touchdown. Well, then their offense has to go back out on the field. Well, now their offense is also going to be pretty tired because they just had an 8-minute drive. You need to give them that quick score, pass it out, get their shit down the field, get that score, get their offense right back out there. That's the only way I think you can beat them. I just don't think Jayden Daniels is going to be able to do that, though.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's one of those games where I might switch my pick before we lock them in, but as of now, I'm sticking Commanders just for that upset pick. I think Jayden Daniels can pass the ball really well, and I think he's really starting to connect with McLaurin in a way where it's kind of scary looking at their offense because right now you're at a point where you're looking at them and you're thinking that they can still be improving every single week, you know? And so looking at that and seeing how they're going to go against the Ravens and how they've been winning games, it's like right now, to me, it's just like ringing upset alert right now. Like the Ravens did lose to the freaking Raiders this season. Don't forget that. The Ravens have been upset before.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a 1:00 game at home in Baltimore. I don't know about this one. I like Washington. Don't get me wrong. And you know what? If Washington does get this win, I think it's a defining win, and it shows that they are a team to be reckoned with. But
I think if they win this game, Washington's going to prove that they're going to make it to the playoffs this season.
Yeah,
I think 100% they win in our division. I think they win by a lot. Cowboys' schedule is very tough. The Giants are going to be mediocre. I'm really not sure on the Eagles how they're going to do compared to us, but I know that Washington is going to be better.
Eagles are cooked. Sirianni is on the way out. That's my hot take.
Nice.
They're definitely feeling the pain without A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith coming, but they are coming back this coming week, so we'll see. But
yeah, I think the Eagles and Dallas are in kind of the same boat, whereas a lot of people look at their schedule and they think it's pretty difficult, and they don't see those teams doing well. But you know, I don't know. I think it's kind of early to anoint Washington as the team to beat in that division. I don't know.
If they keep
if
playing,
they win this week, they'll be the team. They'll be the team in the division.
If they do this week, though,
yeah.
I like I said, I kind of expect them to get kind of smacked in the face this week. But
and just to switch off of them, because I know we're trying to hurry on time. My hard pick this week that I think is going to be a really tough one to pick is actually the New York Giants game. I feel like Cincinnati really needs this win. I feel like they're going to be the obvious pick to get the win over the Giants.
Oh, easy.
But Danny Dimes has been looking like Danny fucking Dimes.
And Neighbors is going to be back this
week. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. And with Neighbors back, dude, I think Danny Dimes is going to look even better. And so it's kind of a hard pick for me. Cincinnati seems like easy Cincinnati. But then if you actually sit there and think about it, you're like, dude, Danny Dimes has thrown for like 250-plus yards in the last 3 games. He's looked good, even against the Cowboys. He threw no touchdowns. He was like 289 yards.
So last couple games,
Cincinnati,
it's obvious
they need to win, but I don't know.
Last couple games, it's obvious Cincinnati's kind of getting back on track. I don't think the Giant. They got some players that are going to put up numbers from a fantasy standpoint.
It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Overall, they're still the Giants.
I agree.
Cincinnati wins this game for sure. I think,
I'm just gonna say, Dabs. I always laugh because Danny Dimes, to me, anytime they show him mid game, he looked so confused, like he doesn't understand what's happening. He's always like, like,
He's like, wait, I'm winning. I'm clutching the game right now. What the hell?
Conversion, and he's like, and then he gets sacked. They win. Like he never knows. Yeah. Like he never understands what's happening. He's always confused as what's happening around him.
Yeah.
He'll be like standing there pointing shit. Just.
I'm gonna tell you, I got 2 games on here that I think are probably harder to pick than most people are gonna give it credit for, and that one is San Francisco and Seattle, and Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
Yeah.
Both divisional games, both 2 teams. I think Seattle is the easy, like, definitely they're not going to win, but also San Francisco, again, like we've already talked about, they're beat up, they're injured, they're just out of sync. They've been beaten by other teams that shouldn't have won.
Bad vibes on that team.
Yeah, and Seattle's playing at home after a bad loss that they need to redeem themselves. And then, the same thing with Tampa Bay. Both teams are going to be desperate for that win. New Orleans is at home coming off another bad loss. Like,
I think it's an easy win for Tampa.
Yeah, as long as Tampa can control the run game and keep Kamara under wraps, I think they'll.
Because Derek Carr might be out for the season, and he's definitely not going to be playing this game.
Yeah.
So I think Tampa's just going to destroy him.
I missed that news. I missed that one.
Yeah, he went out early in the fourth quarter, right?
I didn't know he was going to be out for the season. I didn't hear that. Yeah.
But he's definitely out for this game for sure.
Wow.
He's not.
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa pretty easily on that one. So my easy game to pick is obviously Houston versus New England. Like, CJ is going to come in and ball the fuck out. That's an easy pick. My difficult pick for the week, honestly, is Chargers versus Denver. Because the Chargers have been
weird.
So it's a divisional game. The Chargers have been okay. They've been pretty consistent, and Denver's on the up and up. So it's a home game. It's it's just one of those games where it's like I'm gonna have to watch the lines. I'm gonna have to check the inactives and see what the moves are on Thursday.
Yeah.
The Chargers are a weird team, man.
Yeah.
The game that nobody cares about this week has got to be Indianapolis and Tennessee, right?
Well, Indianapolis is going to win. Flacco's going to ball the fuck out.
I think that if you're doing bets, I would probably do them on the Indy and Tennessee game because it's going to be a shit off, and they're just both going to be probably high scoring. Both teams passing the ball a lot. Joe Flacco's going to pop off, and if Tennessee can keep up, it'll be a good game for overs on that one. Other than that, if I'm not betting on it, I really don't care about watching that game at all.
Yeah. I mean, Flacco's going to ball out, obviously.
But, sorry, I'm getting hammered on Twitch right now with cheap viewer bots. It's like 2 in a row there.
I'll just keep talking.
Buffalo versus Jets. That's another one we're not talking about. It's a divisional game. New coach, I think Buffalo wins pretty easily.
Especially coming off winning 2 or losing 2 in a row. The Jets just not being, living up to expectations. They just fired their coach though, and they're at home. So those are two kind of those can often be some crazy motivating reasons to go out and win a game. Prove that you're going to play for this guy that took the coach's place. Plus, you're at home. Things aren't good. It's not.
What if Belichick came back head coach for the Jets?
I think Belichick's waiting for that Dallas spot, bro, to open up
or Philly.
This week.
That would be awesome.
It's going to be Dallas or Philly, or actually. I think it's gonna be Dallas. I think Vrabel's going to Philly. That's my prediction.
What if he's just itching? He's like, I need it now. I need something now. I gotta coach for a team right now.
He's chilling, bro. He's doing like podcasts and shit.
$10 million a week, doing 4 different jobs, and he's banging a hot 24-year-old. Like, I think he's in good shape. I don't think he needs to go
He
back.
literally is.
I don't think he needs to go back
and dating a 24-year-old right now.
I don't think he needs to go back and coach for the Jets.
I pointed this out one time in Discord, by the way, for any of y'all watching. Bill Belichick was 48 years old when his girlfriend was born.
She wasn't even swimming around in her dad's balls.
Yo, he was 48 when she was born. Because, dude, she's 24 years old right now, and he's 48 years older than her.
Yep.
Based Belichick. He don't give a fuck. He's the Super Bowl.
Dude, he don't even care. He's walking around, arm on her, going out to restaurants.
Her last boyfriend was old.
He's like, yeah.
Hey, dude, she made it public. She was like, yeah, I mean, no offense to everybody, but everybody's got their own type. Like, yeah, I think he's hot. I like older guys. That's what I'm into. He's my guy. Like,
looking at Bill like, oh yeah,
but yeah, she dated like a 67-year-old before that, also. Like,
well, and you know,
it's really gross. Okay, can I just say it? It's really fucking gross.
People, so obviously nobody really focuses on Belichick, but the dude is so fucking smart. He's definitely an intellectual.
Smart enough to raise up a 24-year-old.
Her dad was a Patriots fan. Dude, imagine her dad on the day she was born, holding the baby, looking up at the TV going, hey, baby, look, that's going to be your husband.
He's already 18.
You're going to date him. One day you're going to be sleeping with him on the TV.
Yeah, Lobster, she doesn't think he's hot, but she thinks his $25 million a year is. So
yeah, she's really attracted to that 25 mil.
Dude, $5 million a year would make $1 million a year would make somebody attractive to me. $25 million a year, man. Bill Belichick's pretty fucking sexy. You think I wouldn't date him?
About $10 and a quarter pounder make.
Dude, if I was at the gas station and Bill Belichick was pumping gas. Yeah, you gotta shoot my shot.
Maybe he's gonna show a hole for a bag of chips and a ride home.
Look, just because I did that once with you, Ray, doesn't mean I'm going to do it with everybody, okay?
Promise not to tell.
Oh, boy. Oh, man. So,
what are we talking about again? What are we talking about again? Football?
I was talking about how Buffalo's going to win this game, but don't be surprised if the Jets make it close. And then we went way off track. Which is okay sometimes, right? There's some others on there that are. I actually agree that the Jacksonville-Chicago game is going to be hard to pick. I think that one's going to be an interesting one. There's definitely. This season has not been uneventful. Like I really, this has been a fun season to pay attention to. Like without a doubt, and the pick'ems have been proof of how crazy this season has been, because there's nothing consistent about, and none of us have won a single week in pick'ems yet. By the way, we're supposed to be the experts of the community. Yeah, no, not so much.
50%.
I got one off twice. Some bullshit, bro.
Yeah, I've been one off. I think once or twice.
I've been one off and really close on tiebreaker points, and it bums me out.
Hats off to Marcus.
Like an obvious pick too.
Yeah, hats off to Marcus if he's watching over on Facebook, but he's the first one to bring home the back-to-back win this week. So yeah, like it's been a difficult week in pick'ems for sure. It's also been started off being a difficult week in betting and gambling, at least for the primetime parlay. We do have our second week back-to-back now of winning, although it's my first loss of the week, or I mean of the segment. My CeeDee Lamb streak is officially over.
Can we stop betting on CD now?
I mean,
it had its run, dude. It was only like
I got
35 bets in a row.
I'm still 3-1, and you guys are much worse. So. But I will. I've got another pick lined up, and I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Yeah, weren't you betting the promo though on CD?
Yeah, you were betting the promo.
Yeah, you were over a half yard.
No. One of the 2 weeks, the first two weeks that I took him were both on the promo. 1 week he would have went under. 1 week he would have went over.
So you missed two of them.
The third week he went over, even without the promo. So, you know. But yeah, you're right. You're right. One of them I lucked out, and I got the promo.
3-1 with an asterisk then.
Yeah, you give me the Houston Astros asterisk. Yeah,
right,
I was gonna say to actually lead into that. Dabs, actually, what he just said there is exactly my thinking behind this, I'm pulling a wacko. I'm gonna ride it, dude. I'm taking Brandon Aubrey again, man. The dude's kicked over 2 field goals every single game this season. Why the hell wouldn't I try?
They're playing in the Dome this weekend.
Exactly,
so
dude. Like, why wouldn't I try to take Brandon Aubrey at over 1.5 again? So yeah, and honestly, with the way the offenses have been looking across the NFL this season, it's a pretty safe bet a lot of the times to take field goal kickers over, dude. Like, it's like Dab said, I'm rolling kickers every week here on out. I feel like I will too, man. 2 or 3 of my wins this season have been strictly because I only took kickers, and then they ended up going over.
All right, Brandon Aubrey over. Janu?
Brandon Aubrey's the best kicker in the league.
Oh yeah.
I'm deciding between 2 of them right now. But I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Brian Thomas over on receiving yards. He's looking like wide receiver 1 for Jacksonville right now. And obviously, you're always thinking about, it's Chicago defense. But the thing is that Jacksonville, they're going to be playing in London. And Jacksonville is a huge favor in London. If there's any team where Brian Thomas is going to go off on, he went over 100 yards last week. Absolutely went off for me on my team. In London, I hope that he does that again. His projection is still super low just because of how unknown his stats are. So I think I'm going to take that one.
And random side fact, isn't it like a nickname for Jacksonville that London's like their second home stadium or something?
Yeah, because they play at home all the time there.
Yeah, like, and they do good there too. So it's like their second home stadium or something. Like, I could see Jacksonville kicking off on London again.
Yeah. Jacksonville historically has been like great in London. It's weird. It's surreal how well they do typically in London. So if they're in London this week, green light out all the Jacksonville studs.
Yeah,
for sure.
I might be doing that too. I didn't realize they were playing in London this week.
Faux show. And Dabs, like you said in the kicker, he's got no faith in anybody on Tennessee to score points, so he's got the Tennessee kicker.
There we go, man. Taking double kickers on it, dude. I love it.
Double kickers.
I love it. Dude, the kickers are, I'm not knock on wood, but so far the kickers have been, they've been doing good.
So I said I wouldn't go CeeDee Lamb. As much as I want to, and I want to really bad this week, and I would still make a good recommendation for CeeDee Lamb if anybody were to ask me, but I'm not going to take him this week. I'm going to take Dak over on yards. And last year,
you're a homer picker, bruh.
Last year against Detroit, CeeDee and Dak balled out. 345 yards for Dak, two TDs. CeeDee went 13 catches for 227 yards. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to do that to compete with Detroit. And so, win or lose, this is a game where Dak is pushing the ball down the field all game long. And so I think the points over on him is an easy one this week.
I can see
so
that.
I'm taking it.
I could definitely see that, man, because I honestly feel like even though you're not taking the CeeDee, I feel like the CeeDee bet would have been almost a safe one too, because with all the scrutiny that's been going on, that's been getting talked about between the announcers ever since the game, with that pass that Dak threw in the end zone, that was nowhere near CeeDee Lamb. Nowhere near him. There was complete miscommunication between them. Dak thought CeeDee Lamb was going to cut back. CeeDee Lamb thought Dak wasn't even going to throw him the ball. They had no idea what was happening between the two of them. And, the entire game, the announcers kept bringing it up. And since then, people have been talking about it. So I feel like in this game, like you said, they're 100% going to have to, I don't care if they got to sleep in bunk beds with each other for the rest of the week. They need to get on the same fucking level and connect with each other. They have to play well together and do their shit together.
And I looked through the picks this week, and you know what? If Kansas City weren't on bye this week, I was going to talk up Juju. And I was going to look up his stats because I know they're going to be low. But anyway, I digress. We'll save that for next week. I really wanted to pick a non-Cowboy this week, but I looked through underdogs, and not everything's loaded up there yet. I totally understand that, but I just didn't. Nothing struck me as hard as Dak showing out against Detroit this week, and so I'm like, you know what? I won't pick CeeDee Lamb. I'll pick Dak.
The next best thing.
If you want to, by the way, that's what I usually do. Price Picks is pretty good about getting a lot of their stuff out there by like Monday, Tuesday, or Monday night, Tuesday morning, and stuff like that. So I know they're not going to be exactly the same, but you get a pretty good guess of what underdogs numbers will be by looking at Price Picks.
Well, yeah, I like to look at that sometimes.
Ray, what you got? You got anything cooking that you already got your eye on that you feel strong about?
Keeping it extremely simple. David Montgomery anytime touchdown.
Ooh.
It's been hitting all season. I mean, if you really want to keep it easy, then just go Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. But I like Montgomery. He's been pretty consistent all season. As a Montgomery owner in a couple leagues and a Gibbs owner in another, Montgomery has been just a tad bit better, and he's pretty consistent with the touchdowns. So I really like that bet. So
as a gambler, I can't argue, but as a Cowboy fan, I hope you're wrong this week. But hey, we'll see what happens.
If you want an out there one that I was thinking, I feel like one of the ones that's going to be, I don't know, a for sure bet that's not a for sure bet. I think CJ Stroud's going to go over on passing touchdowns. I think CJ Stroud, they have him at 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think he's going to throw 2 passing touchdowns easy this week.
For sure. Yeah, against the Patriots, definitely.
Yeah.
Is Nico playing, or is he still questionable?
Yep, Nico's back.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
He should 100% be playing. And then on the flip side of it too, another one of the quarterback ones, Jordan Love is another, because they said a lot of quarterbacks at 1.5 touchdowns early in the week, and Jordan Love's still at 1.5. He's thrown for 2 touchdowns every game this season. That's another one against Arizona. Like, I feel like that's another pretty easy to take on the over.
That's a good one to point out too. Yeah. Yeah, 1.5 is pretty. 1.5 field goals, 1.5 touchdowns, pretty common on underdog draft Prize Picks for most of the QBs.
And I know it's not football, but just for one quick second on Prize Picks, they apparently have a promotion right now just for today. It's for the next 22.5 hours, so it just started. Drop the puck, $20 NHL protected play. So you have the next day to make a $20 protected play on NHL.
Oh man, NHL's back! Can't wait for the Stars first.
I'm definitely doing it. I mean, like I know it's not football, but a lot of people might not have noticed it. They haven't been advertising heavily. So
yeah, hockey.
Get your hockey bets in.
The regular season officially started today, as a matter of fact. Nice. So
that's probably why they did it. You have the next 24 hours for the protected play.
Yeah. About 3 hours ago or so, the first game of the year. I think it was. Yeah. So hell yeah, I'm excited for the Star season. Y'all think I get up for football? I only do that like in the Discord, the podcast, whatever. At home in private, I'm like hockey all day, every day. Like yeah, it's Stars season. Let's go.
It is Star season, man. Look at that star. It's Star season.
Yeah. Wrong star.
Star season, baby.
Yeah, I'm loving this week. It's gonna be great. Good times. Last reminder before we throw out an extra point and get on out of here. We do have Monday Night Football squares available, 100 biddies per square on my channel, and we'll get you a square that could win you up to 8,000 V-Bucks this week. Jets and Bills, you don't have to have any NFL knowledge to play. Just 100 biddies, and you need to be able to count to 100 because that's how many squares there are. I just need one of those numbers, and it could win you up to 8,000 V-Bucks. Come on down if you want to play. And other than that, guys, anybody got an extra point they want to throw out?
I got my little extra point that I was going to throw out as something to take away from something that Ray actually said, I think last season. He pointed out with the bets, when you're betting out there, guys, to make sure one of the main things you don't want to do is chase your bets. You don't want to chase your losses. If you get a couple losses or a $20 win, don't go out there and immediately start throwing all that $20 back into bets. Don't do that. And perfect example, I was so close to doing that this week. I hit like a good $40 win, and I was like, oh, okay, this game is looking good. Let me hit some second half bets here. I'm going to take so-and-so over. I don't even remember who it was. I was like, I'm going to take this, and over. It's a $10 bet, dude. This is a guarantee free cash. Just a $100 bet, dude. Easy. I'm an easy 100. And then right before I bet it, I was like, I'm not gonna chase that, dude. I gotta win. Let me save that cash, dude. I'm not gonna chase that shit. And I didn't take it, and then they trashed it, and that bet would have lost me all that money. All that money would have been gone. So it was just one of those a friendly reminder again, guys. If you lose, don't necessarily just chase it trying to get that win. And if you win, don't chase it on the flip side, expecting that every single one of your next bets are going to be wins, and throw all that money right back into it.
DraftKings awarded me with 8 bonus bets of $25 each. I bet all of them and did not hit a single one.
Oh, wow.
$200 in bonus bets out my ass. Just gone.
Yep.
If I was smart, I would have bet singles, but I wanted to juice my money, so I just bet a couple of parlays and that just 2-leg parlays each, and all of them missed.
Oh,
so,
wow.
That hurts, but
hey, free money though.
Yeah.
My extra point is chase your bets. Usually, if you double down and you bet, $10 last time, if you put $100 on a bet and win, you'll get like 10 times more of the money back. So, do that.
I won 20, so I'm gonna bet 200.
So true. Yep.
Guaranteed, dude. I'm a genius.
If it's easy, then it's easy. All right, you guys got anything else?
Fucking dude. Shit.
That's hilarious. No, my extra point was going to be not to sleep on the Cowboys this week. The Detroit game last year was so emotional, with it being such a crazy finish and the controversy and everything, and the history between the two teams, some of the similarities between the two teams. I don't know. It's going to be a crazy game, I think. And don't sleep on the Cowboys.
Yep.
My extra point is for any of our Florida viewers. Wishing you guys the best of luck in tomorrow's hurricane. Hoping that the models aren't as accurate as they truly are, and that it eases up before it makes landfall, and hopefully damage is mitigated. So,
yeah, definitely prayers to the for the people that are in that path. I talked to my dad. For those that don't know, he lives in Central Florida, and he's battening down the hatches as we speak, because he said it's going to definitely be worse for him than the last one that passed through, and just hoping that he says that pretty sure he's going to be safe and secure in the house, but he says, quote, the big trees got to stay in the ground. So yeah, prayers for everybody in that situation. Be safe for sure.
Yeah, I got a cousin that lives out there in Florida, and they're just bunkering down. I was like, dude, if it were me, I would have got the hell out of there. I'm not doing all that stuff, but they're bunkering down. And then one of my uncles is also going out there to freaking work, like today, in the middle of the entire thing. So,
there's certain professions that's what they do.
Yep.
And he's getting a lot of money for it, but he's going right smack dab in the middle of where it's supposed to be the worst. So, hope everything goes good.
By the way, Janu didn't tell y'all, but his uncle's actually a hurricane hunter. It's like Twister, but for hurricanes, like the movie Twister, but for hurricanes. So he's actually going to get into a truck and drive straight into the center of the hurricane for scientific reasons.
What?
Given movie plots.
He's gonna single-handedly stop it for everybody.
Yep, exactly.
Stop it by himself.
He's gonna stop it with science. He's gonna release a bunch of balls into the hurricane, some metal balls that'll do some science stuff, and it'll stop it.
Science stuff.
Very nice.
I think it's time to raid out. We got any particular targets we can shoot a raid off to? Show somebody some love tonight.
Daddy Dabs is online.
Oh, he is, yeah.
It still pings him online whenever we get live with this.
That's true.
All right, so we have Dak over on passing. Who else? What else do we have?
Yeah,
Brandon Aubrey over on kicks.
Over on field goals. Ryan Thomas over on receiving yards. Titans over on field goals as well.
Titans kicker, yeah.
Oh, big kick, Nick. I don't have it yet.
I couldn't think of who was there.
Nick Folk, baby. Nick Folk.
Yeah, Nick Folk. Yeah, Nick Folk's there right now. So yeah, Brian Thomas over, Nick Folk, or Brandon Aubrey over, and then that.
I'll throw in my
Brian Thomas season, baby. Trade Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about it's Uncle Lee?
Let's do it.
Throw some love to somebody brand new this week. It's Uncle Lee, L-E-E. It's I-T-S, Uncle Lee.
Yep. Here, I'll put it in the chat for the.
He's actually looks like you might be doing Reload Customs if you're into that. Fortnite Customs. If you're into Fortnite Customs, we do customs once a month. First Friday of every month. THF Multi-Community Customs. But for now, go say hi to It's Uncle Lee. Let him know that the THF community says hello. Type in his chat podcast raid, and we will see you guys on the flip side next week. Same bat channel, same bat time, right? And what they say.
Yeah, it is.
You guys ready to go?
Yep.
Awkward wave.
Bye-bye.